Hello, students. All right, let's go through our Unit 1 test review. Which of the following best describes the characteristic of a place? So here you had options, rural, urban, or suburban, and the correct answer is urban. For this one, we had a video to watch that used celebrities to spread a message. Your options for here, relocation, hierarchical, or contagious diffusion, and the correct answer is B, hierarchical, coming from the top down, a position of power, a celebrity, or a place of influence. Which geographic principle is this? How easy or difficult it is to reach a location. This principle is accessibility. Which geographic principle is this? Mutual exchange of goods and services between locations, develop of trade. Level of trade and travel will be higher with places near one another. Complementarity is the correct answer for that one. Which geographic principle is this? How people and cultural elements spread from one location to another. Spread is that key word there, and diffusion is the correct answer. Which geographic principle is this? The ranking or the ordering of things by importance, size, or influence. Here, represented by the triangle, you have hierarchy. People move to a new area and bring their cultural traits with them. Relocation diffusion. Relocating, bringing with you your language, your religion, your food, your practices with you. People of power influence have it first and pass it down. Hierarchical diffusion, top down spread. Spreads outward from the source through interaction. Expansion diffusion, starting at that hearth and then moving out from there. And under expansion diffusion, you have the different types as well. The cultural trait spreads everywhere, for example, the Black Death or a viral video. That is contagious diffusion. Everyone is susceptible to getting contact with this type of element in contagious diffusion. An increase in accessibility will increase diffusion. So having more access to areas will allow for more spread. That is true. More access will lead to more spreading of an item. An increase in accessibility will increase levels of complementarity. So more access will lead to more interaction. That statement is true. If you have more access between two places, highways, bridges, they allow for open trade and travel, then you're going to have more interaction between those two places. An increase in complementarity will lead to an increase in diffusion. So if people start to interact more, will they spread more of their cultural elements? That is true as well. You should have picked true. An increase in complementarity will increase diffusion. An increase in interacting will increase spread. So now for the last few slides, you had whether you were confused or if you understood the principle. And so for accessibility, we have a few people who are still a little confused. Now, remember, accessibility is the principle that deals with how easy is it to access a place. Simply, do they have roads, good roads, bridges? Do they have highways, paved highways? Do they have airports? Do they have the things that allow for places to be accessible? Open borders, a safe environment. Now, for diffusion, we had some people who really still needed help. Now, I know for diffusion, especially when it comes into the two different types and then the subtypes, it can become confusing. But the key word for diffusion is spread. It's spreading from the hearth, where it began, its original point, and then outwards. And then just how that direction spreads is where you get those different subtypes. Go back to the PowerPoint for diffusion to study that and use the quizzes diffusion practice to help you go through the different types to improve on them if you're still really confused about the diffusion. Now, hierarchy. Hierarchy is the ranking system. And here we had one person who really still didn't need help, and a few good amount of people who were still confused. Hierarchy is just putting things in order based off of a criteria. That criteria in geography is going to be things like population, how much money a location makes, or just how influential that place would be. Like, for example, if you want to become an actor or an actress, going to Hollywood or Broadway would be your two places of influence. They would be at the top of the hierarchy in regards to places to go to for training to be an actor or an actress. But it doesn't have to be just about those type of things. Since we're talking about geography, it could be even hierarchies based on places that make certain products. All right, like we saw in the video, places that are have more access to coffee shops and specialty coffees are usually places that are closer to higher population centers, like urban areas. So hierarchy just creates, it looks at data and then it ranks places according to that. If you're still confused on this, you can definitely use the hierarchy notes. And the hierarchy notes should be in week 4. Complementarity. We have a little bit people of confused and a good chunk of you understanding that, which is remarkable because complementarity to me is one of the harder principles to get. But it does base itself on interacting with places, two places interacting through trade, travel, immigration, or just tourism. Like a lot of Americans travel to Niagara Falls in Canada because of it being a tourist attraction. That type of interaction is complementarity. And because Canada is closer to the United States, it borders the US, you're going to have higher interaction with Americans going to Niagara Falls versus Americans going to a place like the Great Wall in China because of the distance. So complementarity is just basing off of two places interacting with one another. And that interaction is usually going to occur when they're closest with one another. Complementarity practice and notes found in week 3 for your review if you need to go back and look at that. And then lastly, there is the review games that will be available until Sunday at noon that you can use. Kahoot goes over all 4 geographic principles, and then Quizzes has the specific areas if you need to still focus on them. Good luck with everything. Please reach out to me if you have any further questions.